Dan Le Batard, popular host of the Dan Le Batard Show on Peacock with his good buddy Stugotz and the voice of Miami sports. Dan Le Batard joins us on the program. How are you, Dan?
Oh, it is lovely to see you as always. I have said through tears a number of different times here how much I love and admire you, but keeping me waiting so that Seton can talk. Who the hell lets their producers talk so much that you would keep me waiting after they call me during our show to say, hey, Dan needs you immediately. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing my show. And, you know, I admire him and we're partners, but I'm doing my show. And then they say this was the killer. He's got 5 minutes for you. 5 minutes. And I'm like, does he know how many people I have who want to talk about the thing that he wants to ask me about right here? Because all of my producers want to yell about what just happened yesterday with Alabama getting into this and Miami being left out. And I got Stugotz next to me, and all he's saying is, make sure to tell him StugottzBook.com.
Thank you.
Yeah. StugottzBook.com. Yeah. He's very happy that you're having him on to promote his book that is a national bestseller right now that he didn't write or read himself.
He's actually having you on to promote it. He's not having me on. He didn't ask me to come on. He asked you to come on, and you're doing a great job so far. Keep promoting it, Dano. I mean, I like it.
We're down to 2.5 minutes now.
StugottzBook.com.
Yeah. How's Miami football? How's morale down there in South Beach, Dan?
Didn't you want to see Miami? Didn't you want to see Cam Ward and the best offense in the country in a shootout? Or did you just want to grandfather in Alabama on this major
No. I got
event?
to see Miami against Syracuse, so I already got to see them.
Okay, but how about Alabama against Oklahoma, 6-6? Did you see that one? Oklahoma that lost by 20 to LSU, that lost just recently to Oklahoma, 24-3.
Dan, I'm with you. But if Miami beats Syracuse, Miami beats Georgia Tech, then we don't have this discussion. Then we don't have to bring in Alabama, Dan. Just beat Syracuse. Syracuse.
That is right. I can't argue that.
I would love to see Miami against Notre Dame in South Bend, Dan.
Dan Patrick, you are astute as always. If Miami were undefeated, they would be in. That is correct.
No, I'm saying beat Georgia Tech.
That's right. That's right.
Or beat Syracuse.
Yeah, agreed.
Dan.
Agreed. 2 fewer losses, and they're in. That is absolutely correct.
So you can put your snark to the side, just like Miami. Put them to the side, out of the playoffs, and then I'm just trying to have a rational discussion. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do.
Greg Cody wants to get in here, and he wants to get in here with sports conversation, and I want to get him in here reading 50 Shades of Greg. So which would...
He also has a book to promote. Yeah.
What would you prefer? Would you have...
No. I'm not reading an obscene passage from a book. No, I'm not doing that. I got to draw the line somewhere.
Well, okay. Here it is. 50 Shades of Greg.
No, it's not happening.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
I already did. I mean, I just...
You should be confused, Dan. You should.
Yes, seriously.
Well, this is, Dan.
All I was looking for was
Miami talk.
You call yourself the Pope of South Beach. That's all I was trying to do, is let you pontificate and tell me about Miami. I told you, if you beat Syracuse, you're probably in. That's all. I didn't say you had to go undefeated.
But then I have to make the argument. What I would say to you, Dan, if I'm making the argument, okay? I know that people don't believe that Syracuse is any good. It's the best the best passing offense, most prolific one in the sport. And nobody regards Syracuse as anything because they're busy regarding all the 8-3 teams in the SEC as something greater than that. The argument I make on behalf of Miami, beyond, that they can put their record up against Alabama, is that you keep telling me how soft that schedule is for Miami, but it would have 3 other top 25 teams in it if Miami hadn't beaten those teams. This is about SEC reputation, and it's about Alabama reputation.
I didn't say that their schedule was soft. I said beat Georgia Tech and beat Syracuse. At what point did I say they're soft?
Agree. I didn't say they were.
You just said that I said that they had a soft schedule.
Okay.
I did not.
What you're doing here with Georgia Tech and beat Syracuse, okay, and Notre Dame beat Northern Illinois. Like, of course, we can make that argument on any team. I would tell Alabama, beat Oklahoma.
Okay, but Notre Dame recovered from Northern Illinois and became a really, really consistent, good team. Take them out of the equation. These losses just happened to Miami. It just happened last week Timing is everything.
Oh, but you say, Dan,
I think Miami should be in, Dan.
Dan, timing isn't everything. Merit should be everything. Timing, you can't tell me. It doesn't matter to me whether the games were at the end of the season or at the beginning of the season. It's a body of work. It's an entire schedule of work. Why play the games early at all if you're going to only make the ones late are the ones that count?
So should Notre Dame be kept out because they had one of the worst losses in all of college football with these top 12 teams? Is that what you're saying?
Dan, Alabama lost.
Dan, just
listen,
answer the question.
No,
Notre
wait,
Dame, Northern Illinois.
Hold on. I will answer it in a second. Oklahoma, 11 days ago, beat Alabama. Does everyone listening to this know how bad Oklahoma was this year? 24-3 is the most inexplicable result I have in the sport outside of Northern Illinois going and winning at Notre Dame. And people forget about it. And you're talking to me about timing when I'm like, timing was 11 days ago.
I don't think
Miami was beating Wake Forest.
Dan, I don't think Alabama should be in. I think, like, you keep arguing the same thing. I'm agreeing with you that Miami should be in. I'm saying this is why they were probably kept out. Alabama's a brand. If this was 01, Miami would be in. They were a brand. They're not a brand anymore. That's part of this. It's a TV show. It's about entertainment. They want to. Alabama still has a fan base, a big fan base, a big draw. We're agreeing with the same thing. I'm saying you lost to Syracuse. That probably hurts you with the recency bias. That's all. That's it.
Well,
we're on the same page.
I think we all agree that we all got into sports, not for the scoreboard, but for timing and brand. I agree with you. Timing and brand. That's right. That's how we should measure bodies colliding and killing themselves for money.
Dan, the real problem here is Boise State. Get them the hell out of my college football playoff. That is I want brands. I'm with you, Dan Patrick, okay? I want Alabama. I want Miami. I want nothing to do with Boise State or UNLV. Get them out.
You want to get a plug in for your book too?
Stugottsbook.com. Thank you, Dan.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your help with the
book.
Are
you sure you don't want the 50 Shades of Greg? I know it's awkward, Dan. But
it is.
You are, but you're interrupting what we were doing. Look.
Please say no, Dan.
I have told.
No.
Thank you.
No, but this one's safe for Middle America.
No.
Man, I'd love to, but I'm up against a commercial break.
Thank you.
And he's
Thank
confused,
God.
and he should be.
Yeah.
All right.
Dan Le Batard is the Jake Paul of sports host, you know? That's what you are. You're the Jake Paul of sports host. You should be ashamed.
Okay. I mean,
I agree with you.
Okay. Stugottsbook.com. You gave me 5 minutes. Greg wanted to talk, and then
you took 2.5. You took 2.5. I gave you even more than that.
You did.
Why did we book him in the first place? Good God. All right. We move on. That's Dan Le Batard. No, we're done. Stugottsbook.com. Go Hurricanes.
There was no need for pepper spray to be rained down on me. And I sustained wartime left eye injury. Ohio State sucks drama, you lost, that's the deal. The video clearly shows, with my eye almost blinded, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
Baby, I can tell you that I'm pissed they froze with the spray. Oh, she sounded like a goose was stepped on with heels, yeah. Even though Rose was in June, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
Even though I wasn't doomed, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
My God.
We got Shakira?
Rose Rose's accent is excellent. I think we have a problem on our hands, though. Somebody just walked in here and handed me something, and I don't know if that person is a lawyer. Let's close this chapter once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen of the Dan Le Batard Show, I stand here today representing my client, Rose. The pepper spraying incident of 2024 robbed her of her ability to function like a normal human being. We've had time to reflect on this outrage. Yes, my client went viral, but at what cost? Her newfound fame as pepper spray girl is both a blessing and a curse, but Rose doesn't want your pity. She wants justice, and so we present our demands. My client demands are, number one, a lifetime supply of eye drops, preferably gold-plated for dramatic effect. Number two, her own show, Name It, Rose Does It, because risking her life once wasn't enough. Number three, a $2,000 sound bed, link to be sent. Number four, Dan has to wear an eye patch for a week in solidarity. Number five, a company-sponsored therapy dog, preferably a golden retriever named Pepper. Number six, Roy and David must do a TikTok dance in Rose's honor. A formal apology from Dan and Lucy delivered in a song. And full sponsorship of her upcoming book, The Adventures of a despistada is the word.
Spanish can be tough sometimes,
Yeah,
huh,
you got
Dan?
it.
Complete with ads on the show and a branded candy cane book tour. Why was I handed this? What authority does the person have who handed me this?
Reasonable demands.
Yeah.
Not even producer.
Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. That song was excellent by Rose. I did not know that Rose had a singing voice. I did not know that she was capable of doing that. So I'm sorry that you were pepper sprayed, Rose, and I'm sorry that Lucy spent so much time laughing about it. Jessica, did you find it as funny as Lucy seemed to find all of that? Because she was laughing in the face of Rose as Rose was on the floor, pawing at her eyes.
Some people laugh as a absurd, coping mechanism. Like when you're not sure how to react, some people just kind of reflexively go, ah, ha, ha, ha. Like when Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. I laughed for like a week. I was dead inside, but I laughed for like a week. Now I don't give a about it anymore. I don't care. Redemption feels sweet, Dan. But some people just laugh when sad happens.
Do you guys know anybody who does that other than Lucy? Because Lucy was saying it was her coping mechanism, and I know
Jess, as she just
My
detailed.
wife, anytime I'm in pain, my wife starts laughing.
Me while I work
if
here.
I stub my toe, she starts cackling.
Yeah.
My wife does that. If she trips and almost falls, she laughs as if at herself.
If a child walks into something, my wife will laugh. My daughter walked into a sliding glass door and legitimately hurt herself.
And you're freaking out,
What?
right?
No, but my
Always
wife.
funny.
You were laughing
can't-
too?
No, I don't have that gene. But my
Okay.
wife just couldn't stop laughing.
always funny.
I was there tending to our daughter.
the coping mechanism, though, sounds like that your wife is just laughing at you. Like I could see you stubbing your toe. Is that you're saying that's an empathetic response from her, that where she's feeling your pain and therefore laughing, as opposed to laughing because you've hurt yourself?
Anytime I'm oh man, like she finds it funny, the act of me just like hopping around, and yeah, she's laughing at me.
Okay,
There's no
but
other
that's
way to
not
look
that's
at
not that's not a coping mechanism. That's her laughing that she's married an oaf.
It's just mean.
and that and a loveless marriage. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast, but I want to bring him into the thing that's happening right now. Greg Cody refuses to read these lyrics.
Imagine that.
Dan Patrick, we just soiled the middle of that Dan Patrick interview, totally discombobulated a professional who's never discombobulated.
Right.
Because I thought you guys, I've seen you guys working for the last 45 minutes. You guys have been trying to find words more palatable to Greg Cody than the ones he refuses to read here. You guys have been trying to produce Greg Cody for 45 minutes. He refuses to do what it is that you're doing, refused to do it on the Dan Patrick Show, and now
Yep.
refuses to do it now.
Sure. Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. I mean, he said that 44 minutes ago. He didn't
Yes.
want to do
Yeah,
it.
the copy
That-
is
right.
cleaner
Right.
than it was before.
I don't even know if he gave the new copy a look. I was like, I whispered in his ear, "Hey, read it, see if this is to your liking." But I think he's just against the entire concept, which is fine. Like
Well,
he doesn't
no,
have to
no,
do
you
it. It's
say-
good.
you-
I feel pretty confident in the script that we did. I think it's funny.
a really
I don't-
good script.
I don't think any of these clips are going to come back to haunt him. We went out of our way to clean up some of the language in there.
Greg, here's the thing.
No one's trying to trick you.
Pablo,
Like,
just
we're-
hold on a second.
Working within the rules.
Just hold on just a second, okay?
I'm piecing it together.
Is it possible? Can I just convince you of the following? And I understand if you do not trust these people this way, the producers of your show. But for many years, they have produced this show well enough to put us in all very good, likable, funny positions. They
Yeah.
produce the show well. I don't believe either that you have read all of this copy. I just read blindly handed to me. I'd not seen the copy that was just handed to me by that person who wasn't a lawyer, and I don't know what they do for us.
How'd that go?
I have terrible regret about everything that just happened because that person's judgment shouldn't be trusted on funny. Like, in fact, whoever that was.
Or Spanish.
Wow.
Or at
Yeah, I
least
was
your
gonna say.
comprehension.
Wow.
Yes.
Dan's stumbling on, I believe he tried to say Despacito at first,
No,
which feels like
yes,
not the right
Despacito.
word.
I really ruined that because
Which
It's
Different
pretty
song.
pathetic.
Which, ironically, doing it Despacito might have helped.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
For who?
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
if I could leave right now, I would give myself the penalty for trusting the judgment of the person who came in and handed me that, but I trust my producers. I trust the people. No, rare it is that somebody just walks in, hands you a piece of paper. You have no idea what it is you're reading, and now you're going to read it live on air. What I'm asking Greg Cody to do right now is to trust. I've watched them working over the last 45 minutes when they weren't busy ruining the show, talking about college football nonstop in a way that was super annoying. They were working on funny words to replace the ones they think that you're objecting to make this cleaner copy. And I believe that they're handing something that if you read right now, sight unseen, and trusted them, that would make you laugh, make us laugh, and not actually be something that is what you're worried about. But you have to trust them.
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, as you referred to me, I'm the enemy of funny. You know, I'm a guy
that was off air.
I'm a guy who really doesn't like to go along with the joke.
That was off air. That was not an on air.
But he's hurt by it, Dan.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm the opposite of the enemy of funny, but you called me that, and I'm just curious why, like you had your dad reading them.
I never did that. That was the producers of the show who I trust.
And now you're asking me to read them. The old guys. I guess it's funny when an old guy reads something vulgar.
You got it.
That's a ticket.
Well, yes,
Okay.
that's the trick.
I just wanted to make
that
sure
tracks.
I had that right.
In Dan's defense, he wanted Chris to feel what it is he's feeling when he has to listen to his dad.
Were we hiding
That's all.
that?
Right.
No, it's dad, old guy that would be uncomfortable reading such sexy things, and you objected, and then we pivoted and we wrote old-timey words.
How sexy was it? Just to jump in here,
it's
how
a
sexy
shade.
were
It's
we
50
talking?
Shades of Grey, which is pretty vulgar.
Well, you still haven't read it?
Well,
You still haven't read the script? I think you'd like it. I think it puts you in a winning position and gives you big laughs, and you're a hero.
So, Greg, I will tell you that for 20 years, blindly, Mike hands me a piece of paper, Billy, Chris, they hand me a piece of paper. I trust them. I'm going to read it.
Right.
I understand, however, why you do not want to do this. I
Sure.
get it.
Thank
it makes
you.
sense to me.
But
So-
I just don't understand. Like, he's not even proofreading it. It's not like we're doing this read this right now live. Like, just proofread
You
it. See if-
came up to me
I said
and handed me
proofread
a
it.
sheet of paper live while we're on the air with Dan Patrick.
And I said, proofread it to your liking. Like I said, you were leading the interview. You had
but
plenty of time
I
to
think
read.
Mike, I think it's fair to say if you were to read it now in a clinical way as a matter of reviewing and approving, it would be different from you performing it. So could you read it just in a way that establishes that you've reviewed it, not in a way that actually ties you to it in a performance?
I would read it, but not aloud.
Oh, come on.
Before I read it.
What are we doing? This
right
is like,
now?
I tried.
This is like a weird
Why don't
tussle.
you
like-
read it?
It's not as funny.
Because it's not as funny if I'm reading those words because
Why?
I'm not going to give away the only joke that's in there now.
'Cause you're the enemy of
Like,
funny.
Come on.
Because I'm the enemy of funny.
'Cause
Exactly.
if I
Who
read
said
it,
that?
Because
you'll
I've
see.
said it
never,
on air?
I've never done anything on this show.
All right, here. We've already ruined the comedy.
I don't know,
I will read this, and then Greg will learn exactly why it's more funny if he reads it.
no,
Just proofread it. Take your time and let me know if it's okay.
Listen.
Don't just die on a hill when you don't even want to read
This-
the art
I
that
would-
Jeremy and I
You know
have
what?
created.
If I had it in front of me, I would be reading it.
Hold on.
Tone, I
Major
hope.
penalty,
I mean,
5 minutes, swooning comedy.
Mike Ryan, out.
Oh, Greg.
Out.
Oh, and no, I don't get any credit for giving you some good synonyms.
You know what? Bye. We brought it in this back row
I will
today.
read it.
Yeah, we did.
Jess was absolutely
Out. I didn't, Jessica, I didn't kick you
Jess,
out.
you stay.
Jessica, I didn't kick
She gave you
Let's
double
go.
birds.
I
Wow.
didn't-
With handlebars.
I didn't
I
even.
respect that move.
I
Been there,
come
Jess.
I
Been
don't
there.
even kick. I didn't kick her out, and I don't know why she's leaving. But okay, if you want,
don't get to be here for Pablo.
get out of here. Get out of here. Go sit in the. I'm.
Give me
All
that, I'll
right,
read
Pablo, check your email. Oh,
Don't
wait
you
a minute.
dare.
Wait a minute.
So- no,
Wait a minute.
no.
Wait
My
a minute.
penalty,
He
by the way.
finally
Don't
saw
you dare.
it. How
Wait.
ridiculous he was being.
Wait. Because.
Don't cave in.
All right.
You stop. Let him cave in.
Oh,
All right, hold on a second. I need to slow everything down here for just a second, okay? Because
dangerous game.
Greg, where are you right now with this? Because while we're talking and while we're arguing and yelling at everybody, we have sent to Pablo. Pablo, check your Slack. We have sent to Pablo what it is, and now I don't genuinely know whether you doing this, what the work of the producers, whether you should be the star of this segment or Pablo. I think the work maybe should go to Pablo now that you're asking to do it, just so that you can see that it's funny. But I'm telling you that I believe that you reading this look, Greg, it is so rare for me to see them during the show, 3 of them working for 45 minutes on something together not listening to the show, just working for 45 minutes. When that comes to me, I trust it more than whoever that fool was who came in here and handed me that piece of paper that made me read Spanish on the fly.
That fool is serving a 5-minute major right now.
It needs to be 5 months or 5 years because that's to never happen again. Like, do you know how long? Look, go read listen to the oral history if you want to know how hard it is for me to trust you that way. That person barging in here and handing me something to read on his funny? Like
I'm 20 years in. I'm still working on it.
I'm not sure that person should work here anymore if that person thinks it's okay to do that.
Oh, name that person.
Well, but you're the enemy of funny here because
I am the enemy of funny.
I believe that if you read this, you're the funniest person to read this as someone who has seen over the last 20 years what the producers of this show can do when given somebody's personality traits to make them a star.
Yeah. All right, let me have it.
Chris, are you in agreement that it's funny?
He has to do it. Dan, I'm looking at this. It feels like I can't be the guy trying to audition for the role of Han Solo when Harrison Ford's right there. Like, this is the first line, spoiler alert, is darn tootin'. Like, you want me to? Greg has to do
you know what?
Spoiler.
You've ruined
Damn it,
You know
Pablo.
what? Get him out of
What?
here.
Penalty
There's
box.
so many
Thank
more
you.
lines.
Major penalty,
so
5
many
minutes,
more.
rooming
If it
comedy.
says darn
Unbelievable.
tootin', I'll read it.
What are we doing?
Keep him out for 5 minutes. No, stay down there. Stay down there. I don't need any visual jokes from you. You get out of here. Here you go, Greg Cody. It's in front of you, and now you read, please. Stugotz, you tell me what you think is funniest here, because I think Jessica and Mike might want to be in here for this, but they're penalized, as is Pablo. Okay.
I like both of them in the penalty box as Greg is reading this.
Okay, go ahead and put them up on the screen, please, so people can see their reaction to their work with Jeremy there.
Just that, right?
Just all of it, if you don't mind. And I'm asking, Greg, I was asking you to just read it instead of proofreading it. Just read it live like I was asked to do, please. Trust the producers.
Slowly and sensually.
Well, trust Dan is what he's asking you to do.
Darn tootin'. Only me. Her words are a siren's call to my libido. Losing all self-restraint, I sweep everything off my desk, sending my papers, phone, and pens, all clattering or floating to the floor, but I don't give a hoot. I lift Anna and lay her across my desk so her hair spills over the edge and onto the seat of my chair. You want it? You got it, baby, I growl, shipping out the prophylactic and unzipping my pantaloons, making quick work of covering my doohickey. I stare down at the insatiable Miss Steele. I sure hope you're ready, I warn her, grabbing hold of her wrists and keeping them at her sides. With one swift move, I'm inside her whatchamacallit. Ah, goodness me, Anna, you're so ready.
I mean, Woo! I mean, amazing. Look how happy he is
Now look how happy
Look
he
at
is.
him. Look how happy.
It was good editing. Good editing by the producers.
Trust them. Trust your son. It's the reason that the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody is such a hit.
Well, trust Mike,
you.
trust Jess. Your son, that's a whole different story. Why is Pablo back? I mean,
He's got something to promote. It's the only reason he ever comes around here. His podcast is doing very well because he appears here and then follows his curiosities endlessly. Nick Wright called your podcast the world's most expensive podcast the other day. Where is it that you're going? What is it that you're doing this next episode?
Well, some people left ESPN to open the microphones to spread the gospel of freedom in America, and that worked out, as we all know, real great. I left to get a butter sculpture of myself made. and Butter Me was very popular in the streets of New York City. So that's this episode that came out just yesterday. It's also an episode about sports statues with the Pulitzer Prize winning art critic. There I am.
Yeah.
It's made of butter, that sculpture, and
Yeah.
this is all Dwayne Wade related, the Dwayne Wade statue related?
I buried the lead. We got the leading authority on art in the world, arguably Jerry Saltz of New York Magazine, Pulitzer Prize winner, to critique. He does not know who Dwayne Wade is. We had him critique all of the sports statues that have existed
Thank you.
in the last several years. And we culminated the episode in him evaluating Butter Pablo. And so I just want to tell Nick Wright to go yourself, and he would know this as himself a butter face. So, in your face.
I don't really believe one of you liberal elites should be shaming someone else on how they look, how their face looks, especially since these butter sculptors made yours skinnier than it actually is.
Yeah.
I am hot. I am real hot in dairy form.
Yeah.
Hot
That was
butter.
not my I couldn't believe it wasn't butter.
Looks
No,
like
that's
John
just-
F. Kennedy.
It
That's what
does.
they said.
Yeah. it
Really?
does.
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what Jerry Saltz Pulitzer Prize winner said. That it looked like
Christ.
JFK.
How about that?
Well, what
You
are you
know.
doing there? Just scrubbing all the ethnicity off you? Like, what are we doing there?
Well,
Like,
they
what-
gave me a better mustache. They increased the ethnicity in terms of just the stash. If you zoom in, you can see that it's my upper lip has some more.
All right,
company.
entirely self-involved. So the episode is about you making a butter sculpture of yourself.
No, it's about
Okay, great.
it's about art and criticism in an era in which people are afraid to criticize art because, of
here we
course,
go. Here
there's a
we
great
go.
sensitivity around actually being honest.
Yes, here we go.
And Jerry Saltz, by the way, is an incredible guy, and maybe I did when everyone left.
All right, look here you go.
know,
Just keep
taste myself.
Do me a favor, Pablo. Here on your way out.
I
Just,
was delicious.
Just go ahead and give me all your important societal thoughts for 1 minute about the statement you're trying to make with this very important podcast episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out. And Chris, you just keep playing that music behind him when he says incredibly pretentious things.
All I'm here to point out is that the idea of criticism in the world of art has become an endangered species. We live in a time when people are afraid to actually point out in a coherent way with actually logically grounded opinion why something sucks. If you are an artist, okay, the internet is not the place where criticism should be happening in this way. It's cheapened it. But if you actually have the authority of somebody who has criticized a presidential portrait, as Jerry Saltz famously did of Barack Obama, the painter Kehinde Wiley, put him in a throne against this beautiful ornate African backdrop. Jerry said that sucked, and he explained why. And he was able to pursue a profession in which he can actually speak truth to the power that seems to be incumbent across all of the art world. There's a banana, as you guys know, that just sold for like 9 figures. Jerry Saltz will tell you whether that banana is actually worth eating. My butter sculpture, if you watch the episode, you will see there are at least 3 women in Washington Square Park who wanted to see what I actually tasted like. And they found out. We all found out, actually. And that is journalism.
Pablo Torre Finds Out wherever it is you get your podcast. Thank you, Pablo. Good seeing you again.
Like you guys, love you guys. Nick Wright.
Okay.
Billy.
Like you, love you. That's a weird way.
Yeah,
Odd way of
I like
saying
that.
that.
all of it.
Do you like us or love us?
And just we don't need your language. Keep it classy. Like, honest to God, you just like that you can do that now that you're not always at ESPN. Go ahead and do that at ESPN. Yeah, do that, brave guy, at ESPN. See how it works out for you. Go ahead and do that.
Well, it's not going great.
Or MSNBC. Go ahead and do it
Well-
over there. See how that works out for you.
It's not ESPN,
Yeah.
Dan. We can say butt plug now.
Well,
Greg
not Greg.
Cody, how do you guys all feel? Thank you, Pablo. Do you guys feel better? You produce Greg Cody. Greg Cody can be a reluctant star, and it seems like you guys are unsatisfied because he's not grateful for all the things you guys do for him.
Well, we hyped it up. Instead of it being a surprise, it became this like weird battle of wills where he just didn't want to give me the consideration to even proofread it. I don't know what we
I don't
did.
know. I kind of liked it.
And
And then he just took the, and then he's just like, okay, I'll do it.
yeah, well, that was
that
there
was
was also
after
a
I read
second
it.
half.
He
of
felt the
script.
pressure.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
he did.
all I was asking you to do was proofread it to make sure it was to your liking.
Okay, I did. By the way, I want to melt the butter Pablo and put it on popcorn. How about that? No, you handed it to me live on the air. After I finally read it, I'm like, this is good. I like the sub words you use.
I guess you didn't hear me when I moved your headphone and I said, please proofread
He was
this to
too
see
angry.
if it's to your liking.
He's angry.
He was too angry. This is what happens when he gets angry. Like, Chris, this
Well,
is
I'm familiar with how he gets, which is why it could have been funnier if we just did it.
Chris.
Or if he proofreaded it in that proofread.
You wanted it done on Dan Patrick, is what you wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
which we had the window if he proofread it.
This is what happens with Greg. It is both when you ask him to do something that might serve him, and also when he stubbornly thinks he's right about something and then just sort of entrenches on it. Surely Erlene, his wife, would have a great many complaints. Greg will come around to your way of thinking, but he's going to fight you tooth and nail on helping himself.
Yeah,
he's just going to be stubborn. And then when you get inside the anger, there's no talking to him. It's just bleep off. Now I'm angry. You can't get anywhere near him. He heard enemy of fun while being in everything you just heard. He was being the enemy of fun.
Well, you described me properly. You know, I'm not going to debate any of that. I mean, people see my stubbornness as one of my loving qualities, and you know it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, my wife does.
No, she doesn't.
I was caught up in this weird.
Quite the opposite.
I
Caught
don't
up in
believe
this
that.
weird power struggle when this whole back row was writing in service of you to put you over and make you look great.
I know, but
you didn't trust us.
But in your mind, it also would have been funny if you tricked me and I thought I was reading.
No,
Greg,
you don't trust us. You
Greg,
don't
that's what I was trying to tell you. Lesson learned here. When
don't
Mike,
trust him.
when Mike hands you a piece of paper, just read it blindly.
Really?
Okay?
Really?
I wanted,
yes.
Moreover, I wanted to thank you for your challenge because, old guy reading 50 Shades of Grey, that's funny. We established that with Poppy. You issued a challenge to make it funnier, to make it more palatable, and then we accepted the challenge. You didn't even trust us enough, even though we worked hard to proofread it.
So you've just been handed another sheet of paper
Okay.
blindly that you have not been able to proofread.
Now, Chris handed him that piece of paper, not Mike. That's a different thing. I don't know.
Well, I'm now going to hand it to you. I also have not read this, and we would like, I guess, you to read this without.
Oh, I know that look.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
I know that
No,
look.
proofread it. It would be really funny if I just gave you the lyrics to my neck, my back.
I have the sheet of paper right now, and I think the funniest way to do this is for him to now trust you and read what's been placed without proofreading it.
But I sold Greg on if Mike hands you a piece of paper. So I think you need to give that. I'll give it to Mike. Mike needs to come back in here and hand it.
All right, now who can give it to you that you would trust and read it blindly for the first time?
Based on
the
this
air?
setup, nobody. And let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to read it extra slow, and if I come upon a word that starts with a V as in victory, I'm going to crumble up the paper and throw it like a softball.
That's the word? Like, that's the one word?
There's a number of
Vulva or
words I can think
vagina?
of.
You got to give us vulva.
Vulva's allowed, isn't it?
Volvo the car, yes. There's a number of words that I would not say.
Woof. Greg.
That's why you need us to write for you.
Hey,
Greg.
Pablo, I want to put that butter on popcorn.
Greg, two jokes. I mean, Greg,
What?
two terrible jokes showing people what it sounds like when you're not produced correctly. Like,
Volvo car.
You're the one. Somebody else read that. You read it.
I can read it if you guys
Fine.
think that will be funny. I want to trust the producers of this show. Look, I have lost control of the show today. I'm going to owe Dan Patrick an apology when I get home.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
There are a number of things that I wanted to talk about today that we have not gotten to, okay? I'd be curious about all of the following, okay? We didn't get to any of them, and I want to know whether you guys are interested in any of them. Jamie Foxx has a new special coming out. I really want to see what he has to say in it, okay? Kendrick Lamar and Father John Misty is a story that I want to get to, and just all the Kendrick Lamar stuff. I want to get to Anthony Jeselnik's special. I want to get to the Florida Panthers making the New York Rangers break everything up. I want to get to the idea of the Heat trading Jimmy Butler. I haven't had ability to get to any of these things today. Tyreek Hill having 10 babies now. Mike Tomlin, 18 straight winning seasons. I can't get to any of this stuff because of what you guys are wanting to talk about today. Ray Lewis possibly being the FIU coach. Paul Millsap retiring when I associate him with only one thing ever, 16-year career.
He was still playing?
I think a lot of people
What?
had that reaction yesterday, and he retired in the middle of a season, which strikes me as unusual. I don't know where he actually was at the end, but I associate him
with one game.
It's not just one game, Stugotz, against the Miami Heat in a regular season. That Paul Millsap game to me, when I heard of his retirement yesterday, reminded me of a time I long for so much, which is Game 17 of a regular season mattering in any way at all. Like as I'm trying to maintain interest in the NBA season, and I'm like, how am I going to talk about the Heat? They're vastly less interesting than they have been for a long time. And yeah, Bam's falling apart, but they're a middling team, and they're probably going to trade Jimmy Butler to, Houston and Dallas want him, but you're not going to get very much in exchange for Jimmy Butler that's going to make you better right now. Like I don't think Dallas or Houston have pieces that are better than Jimmy Butler as a piece. You'd be trading away today for tomorrow because you'd be acknowledging your today is no longer good enough.
Millsap last played in 2021, so he was hoping that, if he hung around long enough, someone would sign him. No one signed him, so he decided to retire.
Okay, so he wasn't on a team anywhere, but he was collecting money, and for some reason in the middle of that contract, not playing for 3 years now, he is retiring. But which of these stories do you want to get to, or do we want to stay in Greg Cody's anger and 50 Shades of Greg?
Well, the way all this broke is if it was just organically read on the air, we could do that. But now we've built this up. The execution was good. It was funny. And I'm reading the script, and we did this in separate segments. We have the expectation of funny now. And while this is funny, it's not funnier than the first one, in my opinion. Yeah. So we're going to get back in the lab and write something that
There you go. That's how trust is established. You see what I'm saying?
Very well done.
Well, and all of those things that I mentioned, I didn't even mention that Greg Cody is also dying to talk about his Hall of Fame baseball vote, which he is very proud of, and the fact that Wu-Tang Clan sent him some sneakers that is funny because he's 70 years old, and now Wu-Tang is in business with Greg Cody.
Yes.
Funnier because they did make us they made us members of the Klan in Las Vegas. You guys do remember that they
did, yeah.
They made us honorary members of the Klan.
I don't want to throw the
Which
woo
Klan?
in front
That's
of that
exactly
one.
the phrasing I want. Thank you. I was going to let it sit there by itself. And Greg Cody has been sent Wu-Tang shoes that are cool, but this room is not qualified to tell you what is stylistically cool. So Jeremy, Jessica, Mike, the shoes
Have you seen my slacks? They're linen.
the shoes that Wu-Tang sent Greg Cody.
Oh, look at this.
What do you guys think of these shoes? My wife liked them. She's
I
got
think
a
it's
lot
bull that I didn't get a pair, Dan.
a lot
Pretty
more
sure I said that I wanted
style.
them.
Those are
The
nice.
Hee Haw 3 did sing "Baby I Like It Raw" to
Yep.
them in Vegas.
Wow.
So
Same industry, yeah.
Only the lead singer is
Yeah.
getting shoes.
Maybe
huh?
I like it raw.
Not listening to your complaints at all. Self-involved as every lead
I
singer
can't
is.
read 50 Shades of Grey, but I'll do that again.
Let's see what size they are.
Huh.
Are they the right size for Greg?
What size shoe are you, Greg?
Rooting against that.
I am
Small
about
feet.
11 and a half.
Wow.
He does like it raw.
Damn
Whoa.
right.
What size are those, Greg?
Close enough. They look so good. Hey, 11 and a half.
Wow, they got
What
it
were
right.
the odds? These fit me perfectly. Should I try them on?
Yes.
Wow.
He is so delighted. The gift we've given him is as the center of attention as a gift getter. Like right now,
It's his favorite gift,
he's not even doing show right now.
No.
He's just enjoying his self-involvement.
And I'm enjoying him
kidding.
enjoying his
He's
self-involvement.
swimming in it.
yeah.
Like he thinks he doesn't care whether this is entertaining. He's entertained because someone has given him something cool for free. Like
right.
this is how it's going to be at the gates of heaven for.
Christ.
It's tough with a
These
new
aren't 11
sneaker.
and a- I can't even
Right.
get these on.
Yeah. You got to loosen
Like
up the
8 and a
laces
half.
down
You
low.
probably
you know?
haven't wore high tops in how long?
I haven't worn high tops. Last time I wore high tops,
Do me a
they
favor,
were kids. I bought it.
Greg. Let's see if we can multitask, old man. Give us all your Hall of Fame takes while trying to put the sneaker on. Let's see how long that takes.
I mean, I made a lot of notes.
All right.
Let's see how long all of that takes. Let's see how
Make sure the
winded.
microphone travels.
Wait a
with it.
second. He has Hall of Fame
Hold on,
notes,
hold on.
Dan.
Greg,
I mean, this
Greg,
is
Greg.
Yeah.
Let's get
notes.
These can't be 11 and a half.
Tight.
Unless my feet have grown overnight.
You want me to help
My
you?
feet are still growing.
Well,
Putting
loosen
on
it
high
at the
tops.
bottom.
I'll help you.
You
It's
should
a little
help him.
difficult.
Hold on. Everyone slow down. No help.
What?
No help.
No, I'm good. I'll
No.
get them.
Greg, do all of this at once, though. We've got 4 minutes left in the show.
Okay, right.
The struggle of you giving us all your Hall of Fame takes while trying to put on the show, put it on the shoe. I want to listen to all of that.
Okay, I'm gonna vote for Billy Wagner again. I always vote for Sheffield, and this is the last time he's on the ballot.
Really?
I always vote for A-Rod and Manny Ramirez. The new guys who are absolutely first ballot Hall of Famers are Ichiro, of course, and CC Sabathia. I have never voted for Andrew Jones, but I'm going to give him a long, hard look.
Right.
This shoe fits me like a glove. Wow.
Put on the second one and give us the rest of your Hall of Fame analysis.
I can't believe he's never voted for Andrew Jones. That's insane. He
What'd you
was
say?
great.
You're going to give it a long, hard thought? What was
I'm
it?
going to give it a long, hard look, baby.
Baby.
Sounds like something out of 50 Shades of Grey. A long, hard look. All right, listen. What else? Chase Utley? Nah. Forget about it.
My man.
Beltron? Sorry.
Yeah.
Close don't count.
I'm getting Mr. Rogers vibes right now. This is taking me
what
back
else?
a little bit.
Felix Hernandez?
Yeah,
Nope.
King Felix.
You know what? Maybe
Really?
eventually not a first ballot guy.
I don't like Ichiro as a first ballot guy. I got to be honest.
Are you serious?
No.
What are you
What?
talking
No
about?
way.
Feels a little xenophobic.
No, we love
Oh, yeah.
Ichiro.
What?
Ichiro's a first ballot guy, 100%. These shoes, I'm floating on these shoes.
Mike, I got to tell you, you're lucky. I don't know what that means.
These are great. Thank you, Wu-Tang
Something
Clan.
phobic.
Kick your feet up.
Yeah,
and
just put
kinda
your feet up on the table.
Kick your feet up, pull the mic closer to you. There
You
go.
look
Get
great.
comfortable.
Oh, they look
Steelers
great,
colors,
especially
too.
with the jeans.
Can you still get your feet up on the desk?
I tell you what, I'm serious.
Yeah.
These shoes are magical. What do the kids say? What's a good verb
Lit.
for? These
Darn
Not
tootin'.
anymore.
These are neato.
Whatchamacallits.
They look good
These
under
are
your
fire.
pantaloons.
These are
Slacks.
these are sticky. The kids
That's-
say that.
that's
Is
not
that a
one of
thing?
That's also from 50
This is gas.
That was from Lewis.
I'm a what? No, seriously, these are great. I love them. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Greg when he's constipated during Thanksgiving.
I'll be wearing these home.
Yep. Any more Hall of Fame takes or?
No, I think that about did it. I only get 10 votes. I normally don't use all 10.
Can you do a Riz face?
Work in the Riz face.
Yeah, work in the Riz
Just like
face.
grab your chin
Just
like
a
you're
little
real
Riz
interested
face.
in something.
Like a little question mark over your lip and then
Nailed it. Now say boom.
Boom.
No,
No.
that's all right.
No?
It's
No,
good.
that was hotter than anything in 50 Shades of Grey.
Absolute petrol.
You've come so far from Volvo.
Also 50
Thank
Shades
you.
of Grey.
The Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody. Stugotz is
so happy.
the most recent guest. The book signing is canceled. For those of you who had made big plans to be there tomorrow night at a church, we're assuming it's an act of God.
Yeah, we like to think of it as postponed, right, Stugotz?
Yes,
Is
exactly.
it it's going to be rescheduled? You're
Of course it
promising
will,
the listener
yes.
that it's going
Yes.
to be rescheduled?
It
I
will
love that
happen.
this all happened because Notre Dame has a cornerback named Christian Gray that caught a 99-yard pick six. What a show. You never know what's going to happen on this show, Dan.
That is right, Jim. How are you feeling right now, Greg?
I feel great.
You are radiant. Look at him. Just a celebration of self.
So
I mean,
upset an hour ago.
I know, so angry at us. Way to go, Greg.
These are terrific.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
I need some help from an expert here, Stugotz, because there is something happening in America's most popular sports that I believe is being underreported. It is not getting nearly enough attention. And it's that the defensive backs with the highest grades in the sport are all white. So I brought in a white man, Matthew Berry, to come on here and on behalf of Peacock, join us and explain to us what the hell is going on that this can happen quietly in the NFL, where the defensive back position has been overtaken by Riley Moss and Harrison Smith, and that fast Dolphin that's faster than Tyreek Hill, Ethan Bonner, and who the hell? How is this happening? Weren't we talking last year about Ivers Cooper DeJean? We were talking about that guy was going to dominate. Those are the 4 highest grades going into Sunday. Matthew, good to see you. What the hell's happening?
You know what? It's been a weird year, Stu, Dan. It's been an unbelievably weird year, top to bottom. So just add this one to the list for sure.
What is weirdest? Tell me why you're seeing weird everywhere you look.
I just think, you know what? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we're talking about a sport that is played with a leather ball in a oblong shape. Weird stuff is going to happen. And you've got 22 men trying to fight over that ball in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's a game that's not officiated consistently. And so something that's legal in one game isn't legal in the next, and it's all over the place. And so I think just all those things combined, plus the schedule is weird, right? You've got Friday games and Monday games and Thursday games and Saturday day games, and it's all over the place. So, but it's fun, and it's why we love the sport, and it's why we follow it, and it keeps you entertained.
It is so good what he's saying, because you do realize, right, given that there are only 11 minutes of action and most of it is going for it from first to second to third and goal, like 3 inches at a time, it's as random as us dropping a football from a helicopter and just having 11 guys on each side just run at each other and try and fight over it.
Hey, I mean, I will tell you, I have had in my career, and I know you guys have sources as well. I have literally had coaches that are sources from mine that will text me and saying, this guy's going to have a huge game. This guy is, we have found something in the defense, and we think this guy is somebody that we're going to really target, and he's going to have a great game. And I don't want to give up my source, so I go on TV and I'm like, you got to start this guy. This guy's going to have a huge game. Blah, 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 for whatever stats that I have. But I know secretly, the coach has told me, oh, yeah, we're targeting this guy. And then, first play, he drops one. Next time, and then he has some dumb penalty. And next thing you look up at the end of the game, he's 2 for 16 on 3 targets. I've had NFL coaches tell me, like, we planned on this. This is what we practiced all week. And then it doesn't go anywhere near what they expect.
This seems like insider trading. I don't know. This guy, how are you supposed to win against this guy in his damn leagues? Like,
working the sources, Dano.
If he's going out there.
Stugotz, you want to ask him who his sources are?
I do. Who are they, Matt?
How does this work with you? Are you somebody who's actually soliciting fantasy advice? Like, are they, you're not going to answer Stugotz's question of who it is, but are they people who like fantasy?
They are not. I mean, it depends on, I have sources all over, right? And so, listen, I'm not claiming that I'm like a Mike Florio or a Schefter or anyone like this, where I have the kind of sources that they do. But I have enough, and I don't ask a specific fantasy question. I ask a football question, but they know who I am and they know what I do and they understand why I'm asking. And so, I might say something like, pick a player. You guys are in Miami. I might say something like, again, I'm not claiming I have Dolphin sources, but just like I might say something, hey, love what you guys are doing with Achane. Do you think he continues to get the majority of the workload, or are you going to see some Mostert and Jalen Wright mixed in? You know what I mean? Like I'll ask sort of a football question that I will then interpret for fantasy. That kind of stuff.
It's a leading question.
It is. The whole thing's a bogus sham. He's out here cheating, and it's insider trading, and the man's got all access to all the good things you want in this sport.
I wish I had it.
I'll tell you a story. I remember when I first got to ESPN, I joined this league that was what's called the famed War Room League, which is all the NFL experts and reporters and insiders and everything like that. I remember one time, and Trent Dilfer, this was when Trent was at the team, and at ESPN, and Trent was in the league. And I remember texting Trent and I were trying to do a running back for wide receiver trade, and I was trying to get a running back for him for a wide receiver. And he's just like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds fair. Let's finalize it this afternoon. I'm like, okay, got it. And so that afternoon, I texted him and said, hey, Trent, are we good for this trade? I'll send it through. And he goes, no, deal's off. And I go, why is the deal off? And he goes, well, I talked to his quarterback. He hates him. He hates the wide receiver. And so I'm just like, oh, great. There you go. And it just sort of let me know that I was kind of in a different world there as well. And I'll tell you guys off air who the quarterback and wide receiver were. But yeah, and that wide receiver didn't last on that team very long. So it is, things like that happen. But
this
again,
should be illegal. All of this should be illegal. I don't think Matthew Berry should be allowed to do any of this.
But this is what I'm trying to tell you, Dan, illegal. Is that like you'd think it would be illegal, and that I have the answers to the test, but it doesn't often happen. It doesn't always happen that way. It sometimes goes awry. I'll quickly tell you my favorite fantasy football story of all time. I've told this before. I've written about it, and it's not even my story, but this will go to exactly what we're talking about. So my friend Matt Hasselbeck, who I worked with for many years at ESPN as well. Matt played fantasy when he was with the Seattle Seahawks, and in 2009. I know. Hang on though. This is worth it for the story. All right. Look, and so Hasselbeck in 2009 drafts himself and his former Green Bay Packer teammate Brett Favre as his quarterbacks that year. That was the first year Favre was in Minnesota. And if you remember, Favre was awesome his first year in Minnesota, NFL and fantasy-wise. Week 5 of that 2009 season, Hasselbeck has a decision. Favre is playing the Rams, who were one of the worst teams in the NFL that year, and he's playing the Jaguars. Hasselbeck's playing the Jaguars, who have won 2 straight. Hasselbeck has missed the previous 2 games with a back injury. And so he decides to bench himself in fantasy and start Brett Favre. In that season, that particular game, Favre throws just 1 touchdown pass against the Vikings. He throws an interception. Adrian Peterson has a huge game. Favre finishes the 18th best quarterback in fantasy that week. Meanwhile, Matt Hasselbeck throws 4 touchdown passes, like 250 yards, finishes the week as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy as the Seahawks wax the Jaguars, sitting on his own bench. Think about that. When you think about that for a second, Hasselbeck had watched all the film. He knew the game plan. He was touching the ball on every offensive play. He could audible at any moment. Matt Hasselbeck had as much control over a fantasy football game as any fantasy manager in the history of the game, and still got it wrong. Matt told me that story, and I said, I love that story, and he's given me the permission to tell it, and so I've written about it, and I've told that one before. But like, that's the ultimate story. Like, again, you think you know what's going to happen, and then it just doesn't.
So this week we had a weird play in just the NFL and in fantasy, the hook and ladder play, where Josh Allen both gets a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown on the same play, which I'm sure had fantasy implications for a lot of people now coming towards the end of the season. Can you think of a play just from personal experience or stories that you're like, how did they do that in this play? How did they get so many points? This is worst case scenario, no one could have seen this coming.
I don't know that any one specific play. I mean, there's definitely been like, nutty plays over the years. I don't know if there's any one specific play that I can think of that is like, how'd they get the most points? I mean, that was sort of crazy, right? Is that Josh Allen becomes, I think, like only the 3rd player in history.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Matthew.
Go
Just
ahead.
give me a second. I'm going to have to kick him out of the room. Here.
Wait, what?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, asshole.
I mean, not for being an asshole.
Not you, Matthew.
The way that he framed it, too, is
Bad
like
question,
you had to
yeah.
cite a specific example.
Yeah.
When there's been plenty of weird plays that affected, like the Brian Westbrook play, where he takes a knee before crossing the goal line. That had
Right.
huge fantasy implications.
Yes, but give Matthew credit because he was trying to play along. I mean, he was. You knew it was a ridiculous question, right?
Not just
I mean,
ridiculous, though. He didn't have a good answer. And I guess he's just asking you sort of for a legendary bad beat story after you just gave one that is the most legendary one. So it becomes a bit hard to come up with whatever second place is to that particular story.
I will say, though, you mentioned that Brian Westbrook play. I wrote about this one in my book, which is there's a big league of casino owners where the buy, and this was this is like 20 years ago, but there was the buy-in in that league, at least for that year, the Brian Westbrook year, was $100,000, and like 12-team league. And so I met one of the guys in that league, and he was telling me about that. And that play, if you guys remember, it was in the fantasy playoffs, and Brian Westbrook it's going against the Cowboys, and he's on his way down. And he's got a touchdown right there. And at the very last second, he takes a knee to preserve the win for the Eagles, but doesn't score the touchdown. So I talked to him, and this guy tells me, he's like, what was your reaction? And he was like down 5, and he had Westbrook, and it was his last player. So if Westbrook scores the touchdown, he wins his semifinal matchup. And he just turns to me and goes, yeah, that knee cost me $600,000.
Ouch. Ouch.
I later met Ryan Westbrook, and I told him that story, and he just laughed. He says, that guy should have called me. He goes, we could have figured, if I'd known it was going to cost that much, we could have figured something out. I asked him, I said, Brian, how often does that play come up in your life? And he goes, every single day. Every single day, somebody mentions that
Again,
play.
all of
me,
it, all
and
of
how
that
it cost
sounds
them.
illegal. Pete Rose was denied the Hall of Fame for less than all these crimes that
lot
Matthew
less.
Berry
I
is
mean,
out here just admitting to freely and openly.
Dan, do I need a lawyer? Should I get
You've botched this up and down. You mentioned Westbrook. It made me think of Westbrook Akine and the idea that a Titans receiver has been, he's only got 20 catches this year, but 8 are touchdowns. Can you give me a name in the history of fantasy that you most associate with sort of that kind of ridiculousness I'm talking about
Another
here?
one.
Yeah,
Mike
I mean,
Williams.
I mean, honestly, it's sort of happening
Minor
at the
penalty,
same
2
time
minutes,
with
asshole.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's going through the same thing right now. I mean, he's actually getting less target share than Nick Westbrook-Akine, NWI. But yeah, he's been an unbelievable run.
Matthew, before we let you go, who's the guy that disappointed you the most this year on your fantasy team? Every year I walk around, I'm muttering some guy's name under my breath. For the second consecutive year, for me, it's Christian Watson. How about you?
Look, Tank Dell's been a bummer for me. I loved Tank Dell last year. He was one of the guys that came through for me. I liked him again this year. It hasn't worked out. He's had 2 games this year with 15 or more fantasy points. He's wide receiver 54 on a points per game basis. Single-digit fantasy points in almost 60% of his games. Like, it's just, for whatever reason, like, we thought the Texans offense would regress. We didn't think it would regress this much. And just Tank Dell just hasn't been a thing this year the way he was last year. When the injury to Diggs happened, you thought, oh, well, maybe finally now it'll be Tank Dell time. And it just hasn't worked out that way. So still love Tank Dell as a player, but fantasy-wise, it's been a massive disappointment.
All right, check out the Fantasy Football Hour with Matthew Berry. It is on Peacock. Matthew, we appreciate the time as always. Yes, sir?
Of course. I have one last question for you, Stugotz, and it's really a question for Dan. I have a question for Dan.
All right, he's in the penalty box, so.
When does Dan get out of the penalty box? Can we bring him out of the?
Yeah, we can get him out early. Yeah,
because I have an important question for him. Specific.
All right. Okay. So hold on a second, because Chris just walked into the penalty box. Look at that. Look how quick it was. Dan is back now.
All right.
So it wasn't 2 minutes. Dan still owes 35 seconds. I have an important question for you before you ask your important question of Dan. Can you write a chapter in my next book? I know you're a New York Times best-selling author. What do you think?
Sure, I'd be happy to. To be honest with you, I'm going to phone that one in.
Yeah.
But because I assume that'll be how the rest of the book is gone as well. But yeah sure.
All right.
Put me down for a chapter. I'm in.
All right. Join the club, the phone club, and go ahead. Ask your question of Dan.
All right, Dan, here's my question. Earlier in the year, though, in my last appearance on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, I pitched the idea of a fantasy football league that I would play with Stugotz and the rest of the guys on the show. And so on air, Stugotz said, I love the idea. I'm in. And so Stugotz and I were texting back and forth. Took him like a couple days to get back to me. And eventually he says, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be bad at setting this up. Can I connect you with Chris Cody and he'll set it up? And I said, you bet. So then Stugotz puts me on a text chain with Chris and the 3 of us. And I'm like, hey, Chris, let me know a good time to talk. We'll figure this out. I get blown off. Then I text again, completely ghosted. So I'm just curious, is it me or are Chris and Stugotz just terrible on text generally?
Well, I would say there are a couple of things here. Yes, though 2 of those people are 2 of the least reliable finishers we have around here in a company that prides itself on not finishing much of anything. But also, we have partnership conflicts that I believe make that impossible. And instead of doing that in your face and telling you directly, our guys just hid under their desks.
Well, I passed it along to Chris.
Yeah. So you punted.
Yeah.
But what's weird,
he hid.
We should do it, though. We should do it in the shadows, since you're doing so many illegal things during this segment anyway. We should do it. We should both risk getting in trouble with our sugar daddies because we've gone into cahoots on playing dirty fantasy in the corner.
Well, the reason I went to Chris is Matthew wanted to do the draft on air, and Dan would love that.
Okay, so again, all of this could have been communicated to you so that you wouldn't just have to ask me these questions in a way that embarrass all of us publicly, because I'm looking at you,
clear,
Chris
Dan,
Cody.
this is mostly about embarrassing Chris and Stugotz, not you. So please.
I can't be embarrassed.
You know what? I applaud all such efforts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done, as always, Matthew Berry. We appreciate your time. You are in all of our fantasies.
I love you guys.
All right.
Talk soon.
We love you too. Sorry.
When it comes to my phone and apps, it's getting to be too much for me. I try to organize my apps. I try to have them in little folders. So, music, work, stuff like this. It's gotten out of hand. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm butt dialing. When that was a thing, you call someone on accident. Now what I'm doing is butt moving apps. Ooh. So I'll go on my phone and I'll notice everything's rearranged. There's everything's just because you get used to certain things, like Twitter's here, email's here, and now it's a thing where everything's off a little bit. It's like, where's my weather? My weather app just disappeared.
Your butt is holding down an icon on your homepage. it's doing the little shaky thing, and your butt is then moving it somewhere else and then pressing down again and saying done.
I'm just telling you.
So it's done being rearranged. Your butt's doing all of that.
I'm putting my phone in my pocket. I'm taking it back out, and all my apps are rearranged. And now I'm like, where's my weather? And I have to search for weather. And you search for it, it's still there. But I can't find it. I'm like scrolling all my pages.
How is your butt doing all of
maybe,
this?
maybe it's not my butt. It's the pocket dialing, pocket moving. It's just annoying. And I all these apps, all these folders, it's tough to my head's spinning.
Once you lose an app, it feels like it's gone forever.
And then you think you deleted it, and then you search for it, and it's still
there
in your phone. So it's like, where is it?
You can remove it from your home screen. I've done that with social media before to try to get myself to use it less. And then, of course, I'm just searching it and going to the app. It's one extra step. It's not going to change anything.
I want to hear my dad's thoughts on this, and I'm good. I want to just know, in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to try to find my weather app, and I'll let you guys know if I can find it.
Please do.
Why do you have a weather app?
What?
You want to know the weather? You step outside. Why do you need a weather
but you ask your wife. She's essentially your
same guy
weather
that
app.
complains when your wife doesn't tell you.
Okay.
I have an app, so I don't need to ask my wife.
I know, but I have a Google app, right? I go on the Google app, weather in Fort Lauderdale today.
Do you realize
and
that's
it tells
a
me.
crazy amount of steps that you have to do? You have to go on your Safari, then you have to type in what. There's just a weather app. I mean, I can't find mine, so it's actually easier.
There's also a widget now where you don't even have to open an app. You just unlock your phone and it's right there, the number.
I don't know about that.
It's just butt dialing, phone calls. Like you guys don't have any butt dialing in your life? Like you guys don't do stuff in your pocket?
My worst thing is that a lot of the time what I'll end up doing when I call people is I'll call them from my recent calls. And so then when I go to hang up, if they hang up first,
I've done that before.
I'll then accidentally not call them back, call a random person on my recent calls. And that's kind of the worst because especially if it's your recent calls, it's someone who then is almost definitely going to call you back. Yeah. And so that's one of the worst things that happens, like accidentally calling your mom. Ugh.
Yeah. Imagine that. I'm a big fan of hiding apps that I rarely use. I have
I'm surprised
Apple.
you know how to hide an app.
No, I do, and I know
impressive.
I have Apple Wallet. Okay, but I hardly ever use it. I use it when UM is sending me a parking ticket for the game coming up or something. So then
that's a page 3.
Yeah, so I just search
3.
the app. I search the app. It comes right up and there, and then when I'm done with it, I disappear it again.
I'm sick of single-use apps. Why does my headphones need its own app?
Yeah.
It doesn't need, just on and off.
Yep.
That's all I need
Mm-hmm.
from you. Connect to Bluetooth.
Yep.
Put a button for that. I don't need an app for you.
It's a good point. Too many
Useless.
apps.
Apps, am I right?
Yeah, too many apps.
Not enough at restaurants. Too many on your phones.
Oh, I love apps.
Oh, I love when
What's your favorite app?
I love when an app takes the full left side of the page. I don't like it you open the menu. I don't like it when the apps are just like the top left corner. No. I want the apps.
And
to
don't
be the
call
full
them small
page.
plates. Just call them apps.
Ridiculous.
Yep. Shareable plates. No. These are apps.
I liked our Flanagan's watch party because it was all apps.
Oh yeah,
We
that's
just
how I
had
prefer a meal.
Apps.
I don't even want it to say appetizers. Apps.
I love when we order Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm not going to have a main dish. I'm going to have 3 apps.
What?
Yeah.
What are your 3 apps?
You're not going orange chicken, a little beef
No,
and broccoli.
I hate orange chicken.
What?
Sometimes I'll get Mongolian beef, but that's beside the point. My apps would be spring rolls, wonton soup.
Yep, love it.
And then I love Chinese restaurant chicken wings. I got to tell you,
Yeah.
something about that
sounds
batter.
really good.
Something
But
about that
soup is
batter.
not an app.
Soup's not an app.
Correct.
No,
No.
I think
Soup's an app.
soup's
Soup's a
app.
soup.
Soup
Soup's
is
an
soup.
app. Soup's an app.
Salad's not an app. Salad's a salad.
I
Soup?
consider
soups and
salad
salads
and
grouped
soup an
together.
app.
No.
But you eat them before your main dish generally.
Yeah.
They're a starter. They're not an app.
Oh, don't do this.
Oh, that's a completely
Don't do
different
this, Jeremy.
category.
I'm just saying, soups and salads are not apps. They wouldn't have their own spot in the
But they're
menu.
not
if-
starters.
I think they are. I think
They're
apps.
closer to a starter than an app.
You know, Italians have it right. We need 7 courses. Enough of this just appetizer, main dish, dessert. I need a pasta.
You need a secondi.
I need there's just it's pasta time.
Yeah.
It's meat time.
I like that.
It's appetizer time.
Okay.
I mean,
they
that's
got it.
basically
Vegetable time.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they got it right.
Except it's all at once, which can be overwhelming.
That's a good point.
I ate too much pie. I need to go home.